Hi everyone. I hope my voice is clear now. All right. Just give me a minute. Okay. 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 I hope most of the people have already joined my last session itself. But let me introduce myself again. Those for the people who have joined for the first time. My name is Ankush Thauri. I have 10 plus years of work experience with the IT industry. I already worked with the companies like Cognizant, Wipro, Infosys, L&T, and some other small based companies. So we do provide the training on different technologies like Oracle DBA, RAC DBA, Golden Gate, Hadoop Big Data, and some other technologies. So today we'll be discussing about the continuity of your RAC things that we already started yesterday itself. Let me share my screen and then we'll start with the today's lecture. Okay. So let's try to understand that. Okay. Okay. So what is RAC? Okay, let's try to understand that. What is RAC now? Okay, RAC. So we understand about the single instance database architecture, right? What is the problem with the single instance database architecture? That let's say I have a server. On this server, I have a database which is running. And by any chance, if one of my node goes down, okay, by any chance, if my one of the node goes down, the instance which is running on that database, the instance which is running on that node, it will not be able to connect to the database and users will not be able to connect to the database, correct? Because if server goes down, you take an example of my this Zoom meeting itself, right? If my Windows 10 machine goes down because of certain reason, do you think that you'll be able to connect to this Zoom application? No, that's not possible, right? So that is the thing where the RAC play a very important role. In the RAC database, what will happen? We will have a multiple nodes will be there. We will have a multiple nodes. So we can have 100 plus nodes also. That is possible. We can have 100 plus nodes also in the RAC. But if you ask me that how many nodes you will find in the real-time production environment, then I would say that it start from the 2, 3, 4, something like that. Okay. Because if you are adding a multiple node over here, these machines are not free of cost. These machines are very costly. Now you imagine that let's say one machine is taking $1,000. This will also take $1,000. This will also take $1,000. This machine also will take. So now you need to spend $4,000. Okay, it's very 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 costly, right? So that is the reason, like, all the database in the real-time production environment, you will not find it on the RAC database. You will not find that all the database will have a RAC kind of infrastructure. Why? That's the reason, because it is very costly. Maybe there are some of the applications are there, that applications are very much important, very much critical applications are there, and that client will decide like, okay, do you think that this application can be set up on the RAC? Then they are saying that okay, we can set up it on the RAC because it has because this is the application which is generating a lot of revenue. Then they will think that okay, let's go with the RAC database, and that's how it gets started. So we got to know about the what is the importance of RAC database. The first importance I already talked about, like we can use it for the high availability concept. High availability, we can use this RAC for your scalability. Let's say your business is keep on running, keep on increasing, so obviously you need more systems to process your data, right? You need the load balancing also. Some of all the connections, if they are coming to the single node, then again it is a big problem, right? So you want to distribute your connections among the different node. That is possible with the help of this RAC setup itself. With the help of this RAC setup itself. Now today we'll discuss about how you can configure this RAC environment. Today we'll be discussing about how you can configure this RAC environment. That is what we need to understand today. How you can configure this RAC environment. Now we will have a setup like this. Let's say I am going to configure my first server. On this server I am going to install my database instance. I am going to install my database instance here. So this is my database instance 1. I will add one more node here. I will add one more node here. On this node my database instance 2 will be up and running. My database instance 2 will be up and running. Now obviously there will be a database instance if it is running, so I need to install a database software here also on my node 1. So assume that this is my node 1 and this is my node 2. When I say a node, when I use the terminology called node, you can consider that it is a one machine. Okay, you can consider that it is one host. So on my node 1 I will have a database instance is running. So now in the installation, what you are going to do, you are going to install your database software here, right? So assume that this is my node 1 and this is my node 2. Both this node will be attached to some storage. So for storage purpose we are going to use our ASM. So in this ASM, all my files like my SP file, then I have my control files, then I have my data files. All these files are going to be saved over here in the ASM. My SP file, control files and data files, all these files are going to be saved over here. And this is a storage part. Okay, this is a storage part where my database related files are going to be stored. So what I am going to do, this database, this ASM will be shared in between node 1 and node 2. This ASM will be this will be a shared storage in between your node 1 and node 2. So let's assume that if there is a user 1, he got connected to the node 1. Assume the situation that there is a user 1, he got connected from the node 1 and he has created one table. Okay, he has created one table and he inserted some data. So that table will be created over here on the storage level somewhere, and you are going to insert some data. So that data will go inside the data file. Now another person, user 2, he got connected from the node 2. Another person, user 2, got connected from the node 2. So if he is creating table and then he is inserting data, now again on the same table user 2 is doing select star from table name. Do you think that he will be able to receive the data? Yes, user 2 will receive the data. Whatever data he has generated, the user 1 has inserted, created, that data can be accessible by user 2 also, provided he has a permission, even though he is connecting from the node 2. That's not a problem, because a database is a common in between node 1 and node 2. All my database related files are in the common location, and that is called shared location, and that is the reason we are going to use our ASM also. We are going to use ASM. Now when you want to use this ASM, you need to use one software. We called it as a grid software. If you remember, grid software. What is this grid software? Grid software will give you two things. One is it will provide you ASM. So whenever you want to install the ASM, you need to install the grid software. This grid software will also help you to set up your clusterware. What is this clusterware? This is a software which will provide you RAC itself. Even though this node 1 and node 2 are two machines, when you see this figure, when you see this diagram, you see that okay, these are the two different machines are there, but technically they are a single machine. How? What is RAC? What is RAC? What is cluster? There is always terminology comes in your mind that what is cluster? Cluster means even though physically these two machines are different, node 1 and node 2, these two machines are different, but they are behaving like a single machine. They are behaving like a single machine. There is a layer in between node 1 and node 2. These two This is a layer which makes both the machine as a single machine. And what is that? How it is possible? By using this clusterware software. Who provide this clusterware software? Your grid software itself. Now starting from this, I believe in Oracle 10G, there are grid software has been introduced and it provide you two features. One is ASM and another is a clusterware software. Both the things you can get it by using a single software itself. We called it as a grid software. And why I'm discussing about this software and all, because we need to install this software at the time of Oracle RAC setup. At the time of Oracle RAC setup, we need to install this software. And we just got to know about what is cluster. See, when I talk about the cluster, don't worry about the cluster. It can be your RAC cluster, it can be your Hadoop cluster. Hadoop is another technology. It can be your cloud, any cloud related cluster. You take any example. What is cluster? Cluster is basically you have a multiple nodes are there. You have a node 1 and node 2. You have a multiple nodes are there, but all these nodes are behave like a single machine. That is called cluster. And how you can achieve this as a cluster? By using a software called grid software. So when you are doing the setup, when you want to install this rack, when you want to install the rack, so we are talking about the installation of rack. So whenever you are discussing about the rack installation, let's say this is my node 1, okay, this is my node 2, this is my node 1. I can add multiple nodes also, that's not a problem. So on this node 1, you are going to install one software. We called it as a grid software. First, you are going to install a software called grid software on node 1. You are going to install grid software on node 2 also. On both the machine, we need to install this grid software on node 1 as well as on node 2. On both the nodes, we need to install this grid software. And after the grid software installation, okay, once the grid is completed, this grid will give you two things. As I said, this grid will help you to provide you the ASM, so you will get the storage, and this will provide you the clusterware software also, right? Clusterware software also, which is providing you, like, both the machines will behave like a cluster. Now once the grid is completed, we need to install a database software. We need to install database software. So I'm going to install a database software on node 1 also. I'm going to install database software on node 2 also. On both the node, we need to install. I'm talking about the 2-node rack now. And that is the reason I have configured node 1 as well as node 2 over here. So we need to install database software here, and we need to install database software on node 2 also. On both the node, we need to install this database software. Once our database software, okay, once our database software is done, okay, once our database software is completed, what this database software will provide you? This database software will provide you the database instance, db instance 1, db instance 1, and this will provide you the db instance 2, db instance 2. And this grid software, as soon as you are completed your grid software, this will give you the ASM instance 1 plus ASM 1, and this will give you ASM instance 2 plus ASM 2. All anytime whenever you talked about the ASM instance is always get started with the plus symbol, so that you'll identify that, okay, this is ASM and this is a database. So grid software, as soon as you are done with the grid software installation, you will get the ASM instance 1, and here you will get the ASM instance 2. As soon as you are done with the database software installation, you will get the database instance 1 and database instance 2. So when you try to do ps-ef grep pmon, okay, when you try to do ps-ef grep pmon, there are two instances you will find it on every node. Here you will get the ASM 1, that is your first instance. Here you will get the prime 1 also. Let's say my database name is prime, so you will get on node 1, you will get like this, and on node 2 you'll get plus ASM2 and you'll get prime 2 automatically as soon as you are done with the installation. If you think that okay, now if you do PSAP and you grip PMON, when you try to find out that process and if you're able to see these kind of things, then looks good, everything is fine. And that's how the Oracle RAC setup you are going to perform. So what we discussed, like if I want to install the Oracle RAC, what we need the grid software, we need the database software. Okay, we need the grid software which will give you your clusterware and ASM. We need the database software which will give you a database instance. And since grid software you have installed, both nodes are connected to each other and behave like a single machine, and that is called, we called it as a RAC. But apart from this, in order to connect node 1 and node 2, they should be internally communicate to each other, right? They should be able to communicate to each other. If node 1 and node 2, they should be able to communicate each other, right? They will talk to each other. If I want to talk to you, I need to use certain medium, right? And it can be your English language that we are using right now. So whenever node 1 and node 2, they need to talk to each other, they need to use some of the network, and that I will discuss in few time. But before that, I want to understand that whatever we have discussed till now, are you able to understand? Can you please use the chat option and say yes? Whatever we have discussed till now, are you able to understand? Can you please use the chat option and say yes? All right. Okay, sing yes, sing yes, Chandra is saying yes, Gopal is saying yes, Udmay saying yes, okay, Sheikh is saying yes, Mehul is saying yes. Okay, nice. Okay, I see everyone is able to understand. Okay, Sankar is saying yes, Mollum is saying yes, Vijay is saying yes. Okay, Gopal is saying yes. All right. Thank you. Okay. So what we are going to do, okay, we are going to set up this 2-node rack. Okay, we are going to set up this 2-node rack on our personal machine. So there will be a question in your mind that how are you going to do the practice like you about the rack and all, right? So we are going to perform what I'm planning to do, like I will install this rack on our personal laptop. Okay, I will install this rack on our personal laptop. So just to install this software, we need 16 GB of RAM. 16 GB RAM is required to install it on the personal laptop, and then you can do your practice and all. Okay, then you can do your practice and all. The storage part, if you ask me, then 200 GB plus hard disk or SSD, whatever you have, that is fine. You can have i3 or i5 processor. If it is Intel processor, you can use that, or more than this, that is fine. So we are going to perform everything on our personal laptop so that you will understand it. Okay, that's the way we are going to perform this setup. Now we need to understand about how these nodes, okay, this node 1 and node 2, how these nodes are sharing their information among each other, right? If node 1 and node 2 are the part of your machine, right, they should be communicate to each other, right? How they are going to communicate to each other? So when node 1 and node 2, they want to talk to each other, they want to share some information with each other, there will be a network in between node 1 and node 2. We need to configure one network. We called it as a private network. What we called it as a private network. This private network will allow node 1 and node 2 to communicate to each other. Let's say you have modified, let's say on node 1, user 1 got connected on node 1. He updated some of the table. He made some changes into the table. Let's say he fired some update command. So when update is happening on the node 1, the people connected from the node 2, the person who got connected from the node 2, he should be aware about, like, okay, you made some changes, right? So in that case, node 1 and node 2 should be able to communicate to each other. Whenever user 1 got connected from the node 1 and he made some changes on the node 1, but he has not done any commit, then same information cannot be updated by the person who got connected from the node 2. How it is possible? That is possible because this information will be travels from node 1 to node 2. And how that information will be travels? With the help of private network. So we are going to configure a private network in between node 1 and node 2. Why? Because of this private network only, your node 1 and node 2 will communicate each other. Because of this private network only, your node 1 and node 2 will communicate to each other. If you are making any changes on node 1 by any chance, that change related information will be passed from the node 1 to node 2 with the help of this private network. So this private network is very much stronger. Okay, the bandwidth is very much good in a such way that the information from node 1 and node 2 will be travels very fastly. The information from the node 1 to node 2 will be travels very fastly, and that is the reason we are going to configure our private network. Then we need a public IP also. This public IP is mainly responsible because I want to connect to the node 1 and node 2, right? I want to take the SSH of my node 1. So you assume that this is my machine, right? This is my Oracle Enterprise Linux machine. I want to take the remote of this machine by using this software called 𝐓𝐽𝐬𝐿. I'm using a software called 𝐓𝐽𝐬𝐿. So now when I want to take the remote of this machine by using 𝐓𝐽𝐬𝐿, I need the IP address of that machine. So you can see here that the IP address of my machine is 56.70, something like this, right? So we need this public IP. By using this public IP only, I can take the SSH of this node 1. I can take the SSH of this node 2. So we will have one public IP. We will have one private IP. And apart from this, there is a concept, we call it as a scan, that I will discuss in next lecture. What is scan, how it works, what is the importance of scan, everything I'm going to discuss. And we need this virtual IP, VIP, we call it as a VIP. So these IPs I will discuss in the next few lectures. But right now, you just keep in your mind that we need a public IP to take the SSH of your node 1 and node 2. We need private IP. This IP will help node 1 and node 2. If I have one more node in future, let's assume that one more node, they will be communicating to each other with this private network. They will be able to talk to each other. They will be able to ping to each other with this private network. So we are going to use our Oracle virtual machine. I hope everyone is already aware about these things because I'm assuming that everyone is comfortable with the Oracle DBA. So we are going to use this Oracle VM virtual box. This will help you to run your multiple machines. Like you can see here that I have installed 12C RAC node 1 and node 2. You can see over here. So I'm going to install this node 1 and node 2 over here. We will start both the machines. Both the machines will communicate to each other with the help of private network, and we will take the SSH by using the public network. Okay. So we will see the next part. Okay, how to so in tomorrow's lecture we will see like how to install it. So we are going to start with the practical scenarios from tomorrow, and what we need, come up with the like laptop and all these things. We definitely need that 16 GB RAM is required to install this, because we need to run two machines right at a time. So from tomorrow we are going to start with our practical real-time based scenario about the Oracle RAC, the way we are doing it on the Oracle DBA also. Same way we are going to follow the approach on Oracle RAC. how to install it, and I'll talk about the concept of Oracle RAC also parallelly. So those people who are interested to join our RAC database training, they can reach out to our number. They can reach out to on our WhatsApp. You can see the WhatsApp is also available here. So this is our office number. You can WhatsApp or you can call on this number, and they will help you to for the RAC admissions and all. Okay, so we will continue from tomorrow. Okay, and we will see how to install the RAC on our personal laptop. If you have any doubts regarding the the admission process and all, or anything, you can ask me now. I'll just unmute everyone, and now you can ask me the questions related to this training. So we'll take the questions related to training, and technical questions we will take it from tomorrow.
Sir, what about the technical questions? When I should ask?
Tomorrow, from tomorrow we'll take all the technical questions.
Okay.
How many days, sir? Course
It will take 45 days.
of the same timing, sir?
Timing we are going to take 8 to 9. So for only till tomorrow we'll connect by 6 to 7. Evening 8 o'clock. Indian timing. Indian 8
Okay.
o'clock. 8 p.m. IST. That's the timing.
Okay.
Okay. So let me know if you have any questions. Okay. So if anyone have any doubt regarding this program and all, okay, you can call this number and get things. Okay. All right, guys, then let's connect tomorrow. Okay. And
Ankush,
yes,
if I missed the class, so what about any recording?
the recording will be available with 3 months of access. Yeah, all the sessions will be recorded with 3 months of access.
Post sessions also, post classes also.
Every class will get recorded, but the recording will be for 3 months of access. Every class, and you'll get the recording on the same day.
Okay, it is available for only for 3 months from the day when of course starts.
Correct.
Okay.
So can we download those files?
No.
Recorded
No.
files?
You need to stream that. Any more questions? No. All right, then. Yeah, thank you so much for joining. Let's connect tomorrow and we'll continue this class. Okay, thanks. Bye.